Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Harley Carnes podcast. Harley on the headlines. Just me talking about, what's going on briefly. I want to thank you for giving me a bit of your time. Time is precious, and I get that. I get it more every day. So thanks for being there. I appreciate it. Liking, following, subscribing, all of it helps spread the invitation, and I thank you for that as well. Hurricane season is coming. The National Hurricane Center is not as worried this year. That's really good because they almost always overestimate the hurricane season before it happens. If you've ever wondered why they always seem to overestimate, well, it's because no weather person wants to underestimate. You tell people that flurries are coming and a big snowstorm hits them, oh boy, you're an idiot, right? You tell people we're only going to have one hurricane, and turns out we have three, oh boy, right back to it, right? Well, in an effort to be first, AccuWeather also makes hurricane predictions. They're usually pretty close to what the feds at the National Hurricane Center come up with. The feds' prognostication is going to be in May. This one happens now. Now, here's what the meteorological prognosticators are thinking. By the way, meteorological prognostication. That's oxymoronic, isn't it? Because if there's one thing that has defied our efforts, it is good long-range weather forecasting. We are pretty good out 1 to 5 or 6 days. Beyond that, it's just very scientific guessing. So AccuWeather guesses that this year will be at or below average. 11 to 16 storms big enough to get a name. 4 to 7 of them may become hurricanes. 2, 3, or 4 of them might be major. Now, there's no guarantee that any of the big ones will make direct impact on the states. There's no guarantee that it won't either. The reason for the milder hurricane season is expected is El Nino, which means the boy. El Niña is the girl. She's a whole lot meaner than the boy. El Nino happens when the eastern Pacific Ocean is warmer than average, which produces strong winds high in the atmosphere over the Atlantic, and that creates wind shear. Wind shear, by the way, is a rapid change in the direction or force of the wind. Wind shear out of the west and northwest breaks up the storms, or certainly weakens the ones that track across the Atlantic from Africa, and we don't get as many storms and many bad ones. Interesting that the ocean actually got warmer in 2023 than it did in either 2024 or 25. By the way, you will often hear from the global warming crowd that hurricane activity has increased in frequency over the last 150 years, and that major hurricanes are bigger and more powerful. Well, that's because until 150 years ago, there was no official record keeping on hurricane season. We just have the stories that people told. So they get to make up that kind of claim. I'm not saying the planet is not getting warmer. Maybe it is. I am saying it may not actually carry with it the doom and gloom those who make a lot of money selling their climate guesses like to claim. The Supreme Court has ruled your internet service provider is not to be blamed if you pirate, if you download a song or a movie without paying for it. The lawsuit that had crawled all the way through the courts was against Cox Communications, which is the largest provider of internet service in the country. They're bigger than Verizon or any of the others. Sony Music and more than 50 other record labels wanted Cox to pay because it didn't pull the plug on entertainment pirates. The Supreme Court ruled policing how the customers use the internet is not Cox Communications' job. Now, could record companies go after you personally if you pirate their products? No doubt they could. Of course they could. But it's a lot harder to do that one by one, piecemeal. This happened faster than a lot of folks thought. You can now get a mortgage for a home with your crypto through Fannie Mae. For the first time, Fannie Mae will accept cryptocurrency-backed mortgages that pledge Bitcoin or the USDC stablecoin as collateral. It allows you, the home buyer, to transfer your digital assets from Coinbase to a Better Home and Finance wallet. They call it a custody wallet, which means you own it, but you leave it there to back up the mortgage. Now, there's something really sweet about the new arrangement. Suppose the crypto market tanks, Bitcoin and USDC go down, down, down in value. Nothing happens. The terms of the mortgage remain unchanged. You don't have to come up with more collateral, though, of course, you do have to make your payments. That makes sense. I guess there's no surprise that I am worried, a lot worried about China long term. Joe Biden was weak as milk toast on China. I mean, it was embarrassing, really. Xi Jinping walked all over him. And the world had plenty of reason to expect that China would seek to invade and take over Taiwan in a second Biden-Harris term. Now, here's a way to read the diplomatic tea leaves. And this is important for the upcoming summit meeting between Xi and President Trump. Much rides on literally a few key words. The shorthand is this. China speaks of a peaceful resolution to the two-China situation. They speak of it as peaceful reunification. Well, that's a stylistic term for Beijing takeover. The question is, what is the U.S. position on Taiwanese independence? Independence is a stylistic term for Beijing. Stay the hell out of our business. America has long declared that it supported Taiwan's independence and would help fight to protect it. That clear position has been weakened through the years, so much so that the Biden administration's official position on the question was, you ready for this? Does not support independence. In Diplo speak, that's not quite the same as opposed to independence. And it's not quite the same as saying the U.S. supports peaceful reunification. Those are Chinese terms. Officials in the U.S. simply say it supports a peaceful resolution to the situation. Following me so far, right? Keep in mind the way China thinks about its ascent in the world is very, very long term. President Xi and the CCP believe that China, as the dominant nation on this planet, is inevitable. Now, Trump has been a delay in that plan. So Xi and company will be looking for chinks in the Trump armor during the summit. What will the official policy language coming out of it say? Now, Xi is hoping, for sure hoping, that Donald Trump is such a deal maker at heart and in practice that he'll be able to entice Trump into a deal that trades Taiwan for something else. There's no reason to suspect that such a thing might actually happen in the next less than 3 years, but like I say, China plays a very, very long game. All they're looking for is a word or two. In the meantime, China continues to build its Navy and Air Force at a breakneck pace. Already, their Navy is 3 times the size of our Navy. They're gaining fast in the air. A very real competitor in the spaces of artificially intelligent weapons and the use of space as a military high ground. See, Beijing is likely to think about how to use any advantages it develops in ways very different from the way we think in the West. And the West is kind of fractured right now. NATO is not the solid group it once was. They've pretty much left the U.S. to deal with Iran alone with Israel, and they needed a swift kick in the pants from Trump to get serious about helping Ukraine and about their own defense. Add to that the reality that China's economy is still growing at roughly double our own, despite our president's successes and his playing field leveling tariffs. Now, China looks at the world very differently than America does. As much as we may like and appreciate Chinese culture, and we do, the Chinese Communist Party is, make no mistake about it, America's enemy. They are. We need to pay attention. Finally, you want to see something cute? Watch for squirrels in a public park that have found what's left of a vaping tube. There's still enough nicotine in there to turn a squirrel into a high-speed blur of gray, and maybe to make him a little bit nippy if he gets close to you. Then I guess he might not be so cute. This is only an issue because people are such slobs. Litter bugs, really. The worst part is the plastic and other chemicals in the little tubes does who knows what to the little squirrel's metabolism. So I take it back. You want to see something that is not so cute? Watch a squirrel go a little batshit after drinking some leftover nicotine, which, by the way, is a pesticide, so toxic, it's so poisonous, it was banned for use in this country. It's dangerous for us humans. It kills whole bee colonies. That's why we got rid of it. And yet, we smoke it. Go figure, right? Wow. Thanks for joining me today for Harley on the Headlines. I do appreciate it. If you get anything worthwhile from these little visits, I really hope you will hit like, follow, subscribe. Send some emails to friends. Suggest that they tune in and do the same. And in every case, I sure do appreciate it. In the meantime, I'm Harley Carnes. We'll talk again. And until then, do yourself a real favor. Make some good decisions in your life today. Be happy. That is a choice. And fly safe. It's the only way to get there.